I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah, and this commentary is going to be about how the spirit of fear can prevent your growth and success. So I've prepared a PowerPoint presentation to go over a few key points, just to, help you deal with any fear that you may be experiencing, or to help you better understand why people often are stifled in their endeavors when they're trying to pursue their dreams and goals due to fear. Okay? So let's get into it. How the spirit of fear can prevent your growth and success. First, we have to examine the spirit of fear. You see, sometimes we allow fear and self-doubt to prevent us from trying anything new or out of the ordinary. We're worried about what will happen if we step out of our comfort zone. This type of fear prohibits us from achieving our dreams. And then you have to also think about your haters, the people who may be envious of you. They don't have things, for themselves. They haven't achieved the level of success that they want. They're not happy with their own lives. And so therefore, they don't want you to achieve success, or they don't want to see you happy. Or sometimes it's just simply because they feel that if you achieve success, that you'll just leave them behind and start feeling that maybe you're better than them, or you won't have time for them, or maybe you'll move on and start hanging out with other people who are equally successful. This type of fear that other people have, this is what sometimes makes people become haters or resentful of you and things like that. They say that misery loves company, and sometimes people are miserable when they haven't achieved their goals, and they feel like they are not going to do anything beneficial, substantial, significant with their own life due to maybe a lack of resources, or due to a lack of education, or possibly just due to them being a slacker, or someone who's full of self-doubt and just doesn't want to step out and try to do anything different because they're complacent in the situation that they've always been in. So the haters essentially don't want you to evolve. Now, we sometimes listen to our friends or family who only validate our fears by giving us negative reinforcement. You see, this is often because they are afraid that you will surpass them. They have not done anything productive with their own lives, and therefore they can't bear the thought of you gaining success. Those who are down often don't want to lift someone else up. They won't even lift themselves up. They constantly engage in negative thought patterns which stunt their spiritual growth and keep them in a state of confusion, worry, and fear. Now, how can these type of individuals encourage or inspire you if they haven't even done that for themselves? Fear is a powerful force. It has the power to literally kill your ambitions, your goals, and your dreams. Fear creates excuses that seem legitimate enough so that you'll stop taking action and go back to your comfort zone. Now, we sometimes give up on our hopes and dreams simply because we are afraid of failure, ridicule, or embarrassment. You have to let go of your fear. You see, fear is powerful enough to keep us from achieving our dreams and living our best lives. It feeds stagnation and keeps us from taking advantage of opportunities. Many people are living in the self-made prisons of their own doing, of their own fears. A life lived without fear is not only something we all deserve, it's something that is completely possible for all of us to achieve without exception. Now, we don't want to simply tolerate our fears. We want to eliminate them. This is what author Monica Berg said in her book, Fear is Not an Option. Be fearless. Fear can literally stop you from living life. Many people don't realize that fear kills your dreams, and it actually kills more dreams than failure ever has. So many people are afraid of failure. In life, you're inevitably going to fail at some things. You will not be successful on all of your endeavors. And sometimes you have to fail a few times before you are successful. You should not allow the fear of failure to hinder you. You should allow it to inspire and encourage you, because if you have failed and you know the feeling of defeat and you know the disappointment that you achieved or that you obtained, then you should also want to use those feelings and that experience to propel you forward, to help you learn from your mistakes, and so that when you try again, hopefully that time you'll be successful. There's nothing wrong with failing. That is what everyone is going to experience at one point or another. But you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and just try again. There's no need to quit, because if you quit, you may have, for all you know, you could have been right at the moments when you were going to be successful. But if you give up too quickly, you'll never know that. And then you have to live a life in doubt, regret, wondering what if, and all of those type of things. So always allow your failures to help you be encouraged to try harder to succeed on the next try. Healthy fear. Now, there are 3 types of fear. You have illogical fear, healthy fear, and real fear. And the latter 2 are helpful. They're actually beneficial. Now, healthy fear helps us to discern safe situations from dangerous ones. It is a gift given to all of us and typically manifests as visceral, instinctual response. Now, this is the type of fear we need for our survival and protection. For example, if you're standing on a ledge, a very high ledge, healthy fear kicks in and cautions you to step back. It keeps you from falling off the cliff in the same way that it keeps you from placing your hand too close to a flame. This fear response arises from the physical world and warns us of actual danger. Now, there's nothing wrong with experiencing or feeling that type of fear. But when it comes to illogical fear, we should be fearless. You see, you can nullify illogical fear. It takes commitment and mental work, but it is absolutely possible. It absolutely can be done. Now, it sounds simple, but that's the other side, or that's the other thing about illogical fears. The only thing providing them sustenance is you. This fear can motivate us to grow, to push past our comfort zones, and to transform. That's what I was basically saying prior. Illogical fear are things that we feel in our mind. These things may not even happen or occur. We just doubt ourselves so much that we allow those fears to hold us back. When instead of allowing it to hold you back, you should allow it to propel you forward, because that should be your motivation and give you the desire and wherewithal to continue trying and never give up. Intuition is how our brains warn us. Now, often intuition is accompanied by an emotion, perhaps strong feelings of familiarity or even dread. These messages come through in our feelings and instincts pertaining to certain situations or people. This goes back to healthy fear. Intuition is another way that our brains and bodies communicate with us about what is safe and what is not. Illogical fear makes no sense, and you can't make it make sense. Now, you see, you know you're experiencing illogical fear when you are having a fear response to something hypothetical or totally non-existent. An illogical fear almost always follows a what if. It keeps you worried, frantic, and insecure. It can hinder you from experiencing life in a variety of ways, and can lead to emotional distress and anxiety disorders. It can manifest physically as well. For example, people who experience extreme fright can develop painful migraines just hours after being startled. Unlike healthy fear or real fear, this type of fear, this is the type that we want to work on releasing. You want to dispel this fear. You want to get rid of it. It is not beneficial for you. It is actually detrimental. Okay? It is preventive. It can stop you from doing things that you really want to do and hold you back from achieving things that you want to achieve. Now, once you decide and follow it up with action, you can nullify illogical fear. It just takes commitment and mental work. It sounds simple, but that's the other thing about illogical fear. You see, the only thing providing them any credence is yourself. Now, sometimes you feed the fear, when you give into it. You feed it because it becomes stronger, and it's an appetite that grows within you. And once you make the decision to give your fears the boot, they no longer have a place in your mind, and therefore no place in your life. In the absence of fear, your life will begin to unfold in incredible ways. You can start then achieving your goals. You can start trying new things. And the best way to overcome your fear is to actually engage it. If you're afraid of something, try doing that thing that which you're afraid of. And then once you do it and conquer that fear, do it again and again until the fear no longer exists within you. Fear isn't an option. Now, once you decide fear isn't an option, you are left with only the choice to change, to shift your consciousness, or to take action. Think about it as if you would say, for example, what would you do if you weren't afraid? If you wanted to try something and fear is holding you back, just simply ask yourself, if I wasn't afraid, what would I be doing? Would I go out here and try this? Would I be pursuing my career? Would I be trying to further my education without fear of failure? If you weren't afraid, what would you do? Now, embrace your discomfort. You see, we come into this world to grow spiritually and to make a positive impact on the world. Our inherent nature is at odds with growth. Now, we tend to want to stay in our comfort zones. Most of us are just complacent, living our mundane lives without, pushing or stepping outside of the box and trying different things. But that is not the realm in which we ultimately want to live. In order to transform ourselves and reach our greatest potential and maximize our potential, we need to embrace our discomfort. If we always seek comfort first, we will miss the purpose for which we came into the world. Through the application and embodiment of wisdom, we come to understand that challenges are opportunities for growth. It is through life's challenges that we find its greatest gifts. But we need to know more, about how to look for them, and more importantly, appreciate them. Often we are faced with these challenges in pursuit of our most passionate goals, and fear is what keeps us from realizing and actualizing those goals. And remember what Frederick Douglass said. He said, without struggle, there is no progress. I'm going to say that again. Without struggle, there is no progress. Many people will not try things because they're afraid of struggling. They're afraid if they quit their job to try to start their own business, that they won't have money coming in fast enough. that they'll be, struggling to pay their bills, that they won't be able to party and do other things they've been doing if the business fails. But when you're thinking like that, you're being pessimistic, and you should always be optimistic. And though you should also proceed with caution, and yes, you should take those things into consideration, you should not allow those things to stop you. Sometimes you have to just step out on a limb. You have to try. And you have to think positive, because positive thoughts manifest just as well as negative thoughts manifest. Now consider fear as an acronym for false evidence appearing real, because that's literally what it is. That's what illogical fear is. Most of the things we fear are not even real. They are merely our imaginations, and sometimes we allow our imaginations to run wild. I know we do. Okay, we worry over things that may not ever even occur, things of which we don't even have any proof of. Just things that we sit around and idly think, and things that we allow other people to put in our heads and minds. When people don't, want you to achieve things and don't want you to be successful, they'll sit there and tell you, yeah, well, this isn't going to work. Well, why would you try that? You don't have the money to do this. What if everything goes wrong? They tell you these negative things, and we allow that to play into our own thinking and allow it to help hold us back. Now, overcome fear and take back your life. Although fear is an important emotion, a human emotion that can help protect you from danger and prepare you to take action, it can also lead to longer lasting feelings of anxiety. Finding ways to control your fear can help you to better cope with these feelings and prevent anxiety from taking hold. You can then live the life you were meant to live. This is why we need to strategize, people. We have to actually strategize and think of other ways to achieve things. Always have a plan B, because if the first plan doesn't work, just sit back and evaluate and assess the situation and think of a different strategy, a different way of approaching the situation, and just try again. Don't give in to fear, and don't let self-doubt hinder you. Don't listen to naysayers and doubters. Don't listen to haters. When they say make your haters your motivators, that's in the Bible. It's just written in a different wording. It's basically, it says in the Bible, make your enemies your footstools. I remember when I was young, I used to wonder exactly what that meant, make your enemies your footstools. That's the same thing basically as make your haters your motivators, because enemies try to hold you down. Instead of allowing them to hold you down and hold you back, use them to move yourself forward. Look at where they are, and if that's not where you want to be, understand, realize, and strategize how you can move forward and get to your goals. When people are trying to constantly hate on you, one thing that's very important that a wise man told me years ago: the best revenge is success. You see, haters don't want to see you doing well. They don't want to see you doing good and being successful. They want to, and some people will come to you as friends, and they're really not your friends. They just pretend to be so they can have a front row seat on your demise, because they don't want to see you doing good. So they're going to sit there and keep telling you all this BS so that you won't ever have the courage and strength to do or try what you want to do. So you have to find this strength within yourself. You have to be sure of yourself. And when people are hating on you, the best thing you can do is to be successful. Achieve exactly what they don't want you to achieve. It's normal for us to be afraid at some points or another. And it is not the fact that you are afraid that defines you. What defines you is whether or not you allow your fear to stop you. You can be afraid of something, but you can still do what needs to be done. As long as you don't allow fear to hinder you, then it's okay to be afraid, because your fear can't hold you back. You're not a prisoner to your own fears. But if you are afraid and you allow that fear to stop you from moving ahead, from chasing your dreams, from rising to the place in life where you want to be and where you should be, that is when it becomes a problem. And the way to get over these things is through self-realization, self-reflection, through meditation, positive thinking, spiritual awakenings. You should give yourself positive affirmations. Speak positivity unto yourself. Don't say negative things about yourself, because as I've told many of you time and time again, anything you say after the words I am become reality. So speak positively about yourself. And when you find other people telling you negative things, telling you things that make you feel less than, things that embarrass and humiliate you and belittle you, those are people that you probably shouldn't be hanging around. Now, there's a difference in people giving you constructive criticism, as I've said before. Constructive criticism is okay, because that is someone who literally cares about you and has your best interest in mind, and they're telling you something for your sole benefits because they feel that what they're telling you can actually help you in the long run. And sometimes when people give us constructive criticism, we don't always want to hear it. I remember my father telling me things, and I would sit there and roll my eyes. I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to hear what he was saying. But in the back of my mind, I knew that what he was saying was for my own good. Now, if you have people telling you those type of things, then you absolutely should listen. And these are people you trust and who love and care about you, then you should listen. But if it's just someone who's constantly trying to tear you down and trying to make you feel ridiculous or foolish for trying things or wanting to do something different with your life or whatever, or trying to laugh at your goals and dreams, then you probably need to just, separate yourself from that person. And maybe not forever, but for a while, until they can stop being so negative, because it's very difficult. In fact, it's impossible to live a positive life if you continuously engage and deal with, on a regular, negative people. Negative people, it's not good for you to deal with them when you're trying to be positive, because energy is contagious. And whatever energy you allow around you in your space, in your environment, that energy can become attached to you. The negative thinking and thoughts of other people can become confused with your own. And then you start doubting yourself. So you should refrain from staying around and engaging on a regular basis with negative people. Now, I know that sometimes we engage with negative people, for example, co-workers, people in the family. It's inevitable, right? Because everyone's not positive. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, if you're talking to these people and dealing with them every day outside of a business relationship or, a family gathering or whatever, if you just have these people constantly in your ear, day in and day out, and you're always surrounding yourself with these people, that is when it is a problem. And when you notice negative thought patterns coming from yourself, and you notice negative talking points coming from other people on a regular, and they never ever have anything positive or beneficial or significant to say, that's when you need to separate from those people, because you need someone who encourages you and motivates you, someone who inspires you, someone who believes in you. You don't want people around you that they have no belief and faith in you, do you? You don't want people around you whom you can't trust, right? You don't want people around you who steal your energy, who deplete your energy, who leave you feeling drained and low vibrational. You don't want those people around you. And so with that being said, surround yourself with like-minded people, with people who are positive thinking, who are go-getters, who are ambitious, who are optimistic rather than pessimistic, who are trustworthy, and who can give you constructive criticism when the need be, and who inspire, encourage, and motivate you to be better and to do better, and who give you positive reinforcements. Have you ever been a friend to someone and you thought they were your friend, only to find out that they despised you all along? But yet they pretended to be there for you, pretended to care for you, pretended to have your back, and even in some cases shouted you out, and gave you praises, only to later on down the line find out that this person was the whole time a silent competitor, sitting in the wings, watching and waiting for the opportunity to steal your shine. They copied things that you did, maybe use some of your catchphrases, or tried to emulate the way you presented yourself to a crowd, or tried to befriend the same friends that you had, or wanted to always be a part of whatever you were doing. This wasn't because they were really supporting you, it was because they were secretly trying to absorb your energy so that they could take whatever it was about you that they wanted, the little pieces of yourself, and try and implement that into themselves. You see, sometimes people are not upset or angry with us about material things because they can go out and purchase those things themselves. But often, the people who envy us the most do so because there is something that we have deep within us that no one can purchase. And so these people will very often view you as the competition. They cannot help but to envy you because others are drawn to you. They cannot help but to have disdain for your level of intellect, for the light that shines within you, which causes them to inadvertently, whether they want to or not, throw shade your way. They can't help themselves. This is because of their own insecurities. And many times in life, we will encounter these people and we will smile with them, laugh with them, and we may even love them. We'll have their backs. We'll do things for them. We'll sing their praises. We'll give them gifts. And we will think of them so fondly. But oh, the pain, the sadness that we feel when we find out the truth of who these people really are, that they were never real and that they were fake the entire time. It is so sad for some to come to the realization, because very often we give friends or people who we view as friends, we give them the benefit of the doubt. The way that you can tell these people is often in some of the little slick things that they do that you may not notice right away because they're so small, very minuscule. Little red flags that you don't seem to put together until something big happens that really captures your attention. And then you sit back and realize, and they say hindsight is 20/20. And that's when at last you realize that they never had your best interest in mind at all. At no point. You were always viewed by them as simply the opposition. They wanted to take your place, and by doing so, or by trying to accomplish that, they would stay within your space. You see, they would befriend the same friends that you had outside of them because they wanted those people to be as fond of them as they were of you. And they knew that in the end, when they had taken everything from your personality, from your character, that they could take, the last thing they wanted to do was take away the people who loved and adored you. And to leave you suffering by yourself and all alone with nothing left. Because that's what people do when they're envious. You see, they are so afraid that the essence of your being is something they could never have. And so they try to fictitiously, artificially emulate it and create it. And while this is all going on, you being the good person and friend that you are, you see some of these small things that they're doing and you just let these things slide. You give them a pass and you make excuses for their behavior in your own mind. But really deep down within the depths of your soul, you know that something isn't quite right. But then you may even feel guilty for even thinking such things. But these people know. They know that you would never do to them the things that they're doing to you secretly behind your back. And that's why they choose you to do this too. Sometimes people are insecure. And so this is why they feel the need to try to take on the characteristics of others. Sometimes people are envious because they see how other people are receptive to you, how other people are so intrigued with you and by you and want to be in your presence, how other people listen and follow as you take the lead. And so what they do is they start trying to discredit you. They start trying to outdo you, even by using your own strategies and tactics. You may have shared things with them in private, ideas for a business, things that you wanted to try, different things that you were going to do to help to elevate yourself. They'll steal those ideas and take them as their own. And then they'll try to accomplish these things before you ever do. And so that everyone will praise them for doing so, even though it was absolutely not their idea. And then when you try to do the same idea that you came up with in the first place, it will look to others like possibly you copied them. And that's the narrative they'll go with, and that they'll allow everyone else to think. So be careful of the people that you invite into your circle, because everyone who sits at the table with you doesn't come to eat with you. You see, some of them, beloveds, come, in fact, to consume you. Be careful of the people that you share your innermost thoughts and feelings with, because some of these people will take anything that you tell them about yourself in private and spew it to the world once they have the go-ahead. And the only go-ahead they need is for you to do or say anything that they feel crosses them and gives them justification. And how you can tell these people very often is because the slightest little thing that you do, the slightest little disagreement, it can be something so minuscule, they will lash out at you right then and there. They won't give you the benefit of the doubt. They won't even think twice. They won't hesitate to call you out amongst the crowd. When someone is so hasty to do something like that, it's absolutely not someone who ever cared for you in the first place. Because you see, people who actually care for you and who are true to you, they will always be willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. They will always be willing to sit down and have a discussion about whatever is bothering them or whatever they think and feel the issue may be. But people who just, at the drop of a hat, they'll just go in on you and start thinking the worst automatically. Well, that's because they already wanted to think the worst. They were just waiting for the stage to be set so that they could have something to use against you, so that they could justify within themselves and to anyone watching the reason they are stabbing you in the back. And sometimes, sadly and unfortunately, we actually give these people the knife that they use in the end to stab us in the back. Sometimes we are the ones who hand them the loaded gun that they use. At the end of the day, you have to be careful of who you trust and of the things that you share and with whom you share these things with. If there's something that you don't want anyone to know, keep it between yourself and the Most High.